Guys, I'm here with another horror movie. Today is Longlegs. The story takes place in the winter of 1974. A car walks slowly down the path. The director uses the lens to represent the eyes. It gives people a very mysterious feeling. Emerge with a house, and the camera begins to slowly move forward. This also means that his target is inside. While Lee Harker was doing his homework, today also happens to be her 9th birthday. At this point the camera moves forward again, which means Lee Harker has seen the car. She thought it was a guest, so she hurried downstairs to meet him. But when she took a closer look, she just realized that there was no one in the car at all. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. Lee Harker rushed over to check after seeing it. The camera is panoramic at this time. It creates a sense of nervousness. But after some searching, Lee Harker didn't see the person making the sound. Wait until she looks to the side again. A man suddenly appeared. He said he knew Lee Harker's birthday, but he forgot to bring his gift today. The general feeling is rather crazy. So the first session is over. In the second session, he sent the letter. Lee Harker had grown up and has become a trainee detective. Although it is an internship, but the leader arranged a difficult case. It's so tricky that even the old employees don't want to get involved. The suspect is a middle-aged white male. After investigation, he really likes to patronize the community. Because I'm a trainee detective after all. The leader asked them to work in pairs, then go door to door. But as soon as Lee Harker arrived in the assigned community, there was a very strong feeling in her heart. As the camera slowly advances, Lee Harker thinks the person they're looking for should be in there. And she told her companion, and insisted that the suspect was inside. But partners don't think they can do things intuitively. To find out, so he goes inside. But the moment the door opens, her companion was killed instantly. And this scene also proves that Lee Harker is right. The thought of not letting a partner die in vain. Lee Harker went in alone. After a while, she went to the attic. There's a man inside with his hands above his head. He didn't fight back. He looks very relaxed. The screen changes. Lee Harker returns to the police station. Because of her intuition, the leader arranged a psychic test for her, with several special screens displaying. Lee Harker also started to talk about the answer, and Lee Harker got 8 of them right. You know, normal people can guess 1 right. This also shows that Lee Harker is indeed psychic. Seeing Lee Harker so good, the leader arranged for him to 30 years of unsolved cases. 2 months ago, all the family in the house in front of them died. 3 of the dead were killed by the father. He stabbed his wife 66 times. He wouldn't stop until the hilt broke. It's the same with kids. It's even crueler. Finally, he took the axe and committed suicide. But all 4 were victims. When they were discovered by the police, there was a letter next to their bodies. The content of the letter is a cryptographic symbol, and the handwriting is not from their family of 4. Something like this has happened 10 times, and the letters are also 10, from the first case to the last. It's been 30 years. All the letters have one thing in common. Murderers always leave Longlegs, and 10 letters have the same handwriting. That means it was the same person who did it. After investigation, it was revealed that someone should be, or what motivated the father to commit murder. But who is that person? As of now, the police know nothing, and he brought Lee Harker into the office, looking at the pictures of all the murders on the wall. Lee Harker believes these 10 families should still have something in common. The leader wanted to use this to test Lee Harker's psychic physique, but now it seems completely unnecessary. The common denominator is that each of these 10 families has a daughter. Their dates of birth are all on the 14th. But here's the weird thing, only the one that was killed 2 months ago was killed on her daughter's birthday. Lee Harker put all the information on the ground. She wants to try it out and see if she can find some clues. But in all cases, there are no fingerprints. There were no witnesses, no sign of forced entry. It didn't leave any DNA. Although Lee Harker is psychic, faced with such a difficult case, she has no clue, and finally fell asleep because he was too tired. It wasn't until I got off work that I was called by the leader. In fact, this day was not for nothing, judging by the absence of any traces of the murderer at the scene. Lee Harker thinks this so-called Longlegs should have accomplices. He was a mastermind, and there must be someone else responsible for the killing, because it's getting late. After saying this, Lee Harker went home, but she just got home at the door. A voice suddenly came over. Lee Harker didn't care. She thinks it must be animal sounds. To relieve the pressure in my heart, Lee Harker called his mother, but the two haven't talked for a while yet. The voice came again, and there were footsteps. Haven't waited for Lee Harker to react yet. There was a knock on the door again. After all, it's already past 1 a.m. No good person would knock on the door at this point, would he? Lee Harker didn't open the door. He asked who it was, but after a while, not outside the door, response suddenly, the sound of a dog barking came from behind. At this time, the camera gives the panorama, accompanied by Lee Harker turning on the lights. At this moment, the terrifying atmosphere reached its peak. When Lee Harker looked cautiously out the window, a figure appeared in the woods. After seeing this scene, Lee Harker immediately picked up the pistol and became vigilant. But after searching for a while, I found nothing. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in the house, and so Lee Harker returned to the house again. The strange thing is that the figure has disappeared. What was left was a letter, and this letter is addressed to Lee Harker. It says don't open it before January 14th. But coincidentally, Lee Harker's birthday is also January 14th. The screen changes. Come to the third stage. All your stuff. Driven by curiosity, Lee Harker opened the envelope. She doesn't know. She was startled. The envelope is full of encryption symbols, and it also has the word Longlegs. Lee Harker first found a book of encrypted symbols, then start cracking bit by bit. Finally, 4 sentences were translated through symbols. Tell them where it came from. Why did you cut off all the body parts in your mind? The mother eventually bled to death. While Lee Harker was still thinking, the phone rang suddenly. It said that the leader was in a hurry to let her pass. After a while, she arrived in front of a room. A perimeter is being set up here. Looks like there's been another murder. According to the leader's description, the family has been dead for a month. The father first killed his wife and children, and then he killed himself, and their daughter's birthday is also on the 14th. A letter was also left at the scene. The signature on it is also Longlegs. In order to prevent the Longlegs from continuing to commit murders, Lee Harker looked up all the daughter's death dates. It didn't take a while. She made a new discovery. All the dates are linked together. It turned out to be a triangle, and he immediately told Agent Carter, by all death dates, except the first case happened on the 14th. The rest are between 6 days before and after the 14th. And not only that, Lee Harker decoded all the letters yesterday. Inside almost every envelope mention a farm, and this farm was visited by Longlegs, but not all of them were killed. The girl at home was at school, so she got away with it. Nearly 30 years. She's the only survivor. The time of the crime was March 8th. Survivor girl's birthday happens to be the 14th. The difference between the 8th and the 14th is exactly 6 days. This also shows that Lee Harker's analysis is correct. Then they went to the farm first. It's run down here. He didn't look alive at all. But after the two of them groped, they saw a cross on the floor. Agent Carter immediately pried open the floor. A piece of paper also surfaced at this time. It's a triangle. There's a smiley face in the middle. As the floor is lifted again, a doll appeared strangely, because it's probably relevant to the case, so that it took the doll back, but after an inspection, but found that it was just an ordinary doll. The beads inside the head are also hollow, but when the instrument is close to the bead, it always makes a strange sound. After Lee Harker heard the voice, images suddenly appeared in my mind. The doll sits in front of the mirror. Then she saw a man approaching. He also said, "You are the darkness itself." After a while, Lee Harker recovered. She thinks it's just an illusion, so she didn't think much of it. Then they found their only survivor. Lee Harker asked her if she remembered what happened. The girl started to remember. There was a doll at home. The priest who came seemed to be arguing with his father. The two haven't talked for a while yet. Father goes up with an axe. So far the priest has been killed. After a while, Mom came over too, and it looks like he should be smiling at the doll. Suddenly her father rushed over with an axe. The mother was also killed, because what the girl said didn't have a clue at all. Lee Harker didn't know what to do. The next day, Lee Harker was called over by the leader, because this case has been going on for 30 years. But with Lee Harker on board, all the mysteries seem to be solved. This is obviously no coincidence. So Agent Carter revisited Lee Harker's profile. He found Lee Harker's mother, called the police the day before Lee Harker's birthday, and Lee Harker's birthday happens to be the 14th. The reason my mother called the police at that time was that there were intruders. This person is tall, pale. Agent Carter asked Lee Harker if he had seen the man, and Lee Harker didn't say. He didn't remember. She said she didn't know. It seems that memory has been erased, because this intruder is likely to have long legs. So Lee Harker went home and found his mother. But the mother later said that she had forgotten about it. But she didn't throw away Lee Harker's childhood stuff. It's still in the room. After hearing this sentence, Lee Harker quickly searched the room. After a while, she found a bunch of photos, and one of them is the intruder Agent Carter was talking about. Wait for Lee Harker to look in the box again. Memories of childhood come back. Tall, pale, and the photo was also taken by Lee Harker at that time. Then my mother came over. She questioned the man. Why should she talk to her own child? The man didn't answer. He was singing and dancing. After seeing this scene, Lee Harker believes he is Longlegs, so he called Agent Carter over and let him arrest this person directly. The screen changes. The Longlegs are standing on the side of the road at this moment. It looks like he should be taking the bus to run away. But as a siren sounded, the Longlegs didn't struggle. He had his hands above his head. That's all. A serial killer on the run for 30 years has been arrested. But the case didn't end there. During the interrogation, Longlegs are acting very crazy. Doesn't look like a normal person at all. Although it is certain that the envelope was written by him, but as of now, there is no evidence at all that it was the long-legged killer. And a crazy person, that's not possible. So meticulous at the murder scene. You can see from this, Longlegs are definitely not alone. And this accomplice is not ordinary people. He must be a reassuring person to come in, because the triangle is not finished. And then there's victim number 13. And today happens to be the 13th. The only way now is to find out who the long-legged killer is. Finally, Lee Harker made it to the interrogation room. When he asked who the accomplice was, Longlegs suddenly went crazy again. He didn't say a word. He kept banging his head against the table. Finally killed himself alive. The screen changes. Come to the fourth part. Birthday girls. Now the only person who knows that the killer's Longlegs are dead, and victim number 13. It's the little survivor girl. When Lee Harker was interrogating Longlegs, survivor girl jumps from upstairs. Agent Carter doesn't think there are any accomplices. The fathers in all cases were brainwashed by Longlegs. That's why they kill their own families. This was all done by one person with Longlegs. But Lee Harker doesn't agree. He still thinks there must be accomplices. And now the only clue left is the mother. And he went home with another leader. Just as Lee Harker was going down the mountain to find his mother, a woman suddenly appeared behind the leader. She slowly raised her shotgun. After hearing the sound, Lee Harker rushed over. It was after the mother saw the murder. Lee Harker hurried after him. After a while, she saw her mother, and there was a doll standing across from the mother. And this doll looks exactly like Lee Harker. Lee Harker hastily asked what it was after seeing it. The mother didn't answer. Instead, Lee Harker grabbed the long leg. When Lee Harker said Longlegs was dead, the mother said something. "Daughter, you're also free." Then he just broke the doll. Black smoke was also rising from Lee Harker's head at this time. As the vertigo gets worse, in the end, Lee Harker passed out directly, and the ball in the doll's head is also emitting black smoke. All the memories also appeared at this moment. It turns out that Longlegs is a company that specializes in making dolls. He will inject a witchcraft into the doll, and it's the black ball that carries the witchcraft. He regularly selects the girl whose birthday is on the 14th, and on the grounds of birthday gifts, so as to give the doll to the selected girl. Girls who own dolls lose their memory, and the doll will also take the opportunity to control the girl until their entire family died. Mother, to prevent this from happening, she can only promise to be an accomplice with Longlegs. From now on, Longlegs makes the dolls, and the mother is responsible for sending it to the chosen person's house. The reason is also very simple. Congratulations on winning the lottery. There is a gift from the church. The next thing the mother needs to do is sit at home. Dolls can control. Husband at home. Everyone will be killed. Soon after, Lee Harker was awakened by the sound of the phone, and she's at the place where Longlegs makes dolls. Then she walked towards the phone again. When she comes up from the basement, she just found out the murderer he was looking for was right under his feet. Then she picked up the phone, and the phone said, "You're late. You didn't come to Agent Carter's daughter's birthday." After hearing this sentence, Lee Harker hurried to Agent Carter's house. She couldn't take it anymore. She can only release the anger in her heart by shouting. She arrived after a while. After seeing that Agent Carter's family was okay, Lee Harker finally breathed a sigh of relief. But go inside and take a look. Agent Carter's daughter is holding the doll, and my mother was watching. Lee Harker, after meeting, immediately tell the truth that my mother is an accomplice. However, at this point Agent Carter has been controlled. He took his wife to the kitchen first. With a scream, Agent Carter was the only one left. To protect Agent Carter's daughter, Lee Harker had to press the trigger this time. The mother was very angry when she saw this scene. He was just about to get up and kill the girl. At this point, Lee Harker fired a direct shot. Although her mother did all this for herself, but she didn't want to spend anyone else's life at all, in exchange for their own survival. Finally, Lee Harker pointed the gun at the doll, and that's the end of the story.